Hi there. Today we are talking about the heart of parenting. It's so incredibly important. If anybody is on, I'm going to open up my comment section. I would love to have somebody let me know if my microphone is working, um, and if you can hear me. So this is a new thing. Uh, my tech team wants me to be speaking into a microphone. So here I am today. Okay, so the heart of parenting. And why are we talking about your heart today? Well, as an occupational therapist, my framework, my foundation and training college degree is about that physical body and the physical body and how God designed it. And it impacts everything that we do as parents, and it impacts how I help parents navigate the challenges and frustrations with their kids. For a long time, I have been watching moms become more and more exhausted and drained and overwhelmed with parenting. And I believe a lot of it has to do with our heart, but also our head. And so that's what we are going to talk about today. Okay, again, if you just landed here, I'm Kelly. I'm super excited and happy you are here. I have been helping families and parents with the challenges with their kids and figuring out what a young child's bad behavior could really mean, what their body is doing and saying that is often different than what a parent thinks that child is saying. So I have been helping parents for over 20 years. I also am a mom of 3 teenagers. I am a pediatric occupational therapist, and I am unique in that my Catholic faith is a way that impacts how I help parents and families, but also it's that foundation of occupational therapy degree and training. And it comes from that body up approach. So when I look at kids, when I look at their behavior, when I look at what's going on with them in the classroom or what could be the reason for their meltdown or tantrum, I'm going to come at it from a body first approach. And so today I'm going to give you facts about our heart, that physical organ that beats in the middle of our chest, and what exactly, especially for women, especially for moms, how you need to think with our heart instead of our head often. Okay. So I'm going to be giving you some facts. And again, did you know you actually have a brain in your heart? Every person does. And the brain, the definition of the brain is that physical organ that is a group of neurons and soft tissue, and it is that physical thing we can touch, right? The brain. The mind and the brain are often used interchangeably. The mind actually is that part you can't touch. It is that mental capacity. So it isn't anything that we can touch with our fingers, but we know that we absolutely have a mind, and it's that invisible mental capability. And so, just want you to understand the difference a little bit. I'm also going to talk about, I want to mention the Bible verses that, talk about the mind and the heart. And so we'll get to that a little bit later, but we're going to start with the facts and just that again, um, our heart actually, half of the cells in a human being's heart are actually brain cells. So they are neurons and they are the same exact things that you find in the head brain. So I'm going to talk about the head brain and our heart brain. But we have over half of the cells in our heart are cells that are just like the cells that are in our head brain. Okay? So there's an ongoing dialogue that takes place between the heart and the brain. And this occurs right beneath our conscious awareness. The heart can act independently of the brain that is in the head. The brain that is in the heart can learn, it can remember, it can feel, and it can sense independently of the brain that is in our head. So our heart brain can learn, feel, sense, and remember. The heart brain, the heart communicates with the brain and the body in 4 different ways, the brain and the head. So our heart communicates to that head brain and to the rest of our body in 4 different ways. Neural pathways, hormones, neurotransmitters, heart rhythms, oh, maybe it's 5, and electromagnetic fields. And I hope I don't lose any of you because I'm getting kind of sciency and more technical. Um, but again, it just matters so much because it's the physical beingness of how we are and how we do what we do. And it matters so much for moms because we are actually created by God to operate out of our heart. And so God calls the man to be the head, that head brain of the household, of the family. The man is the head of the wife. But women, females, we are the heart. And so when we operate out of our heart brain, moms, you will feel less drained. You will do the things for your kids that is more intuitive, that is easier for you, that is more in flow of how God created us to be, which is how I want all moms functioning because I see you tired and drained and exhausted. And I see moms and I hear moms and I talk to moms and I work with moms who are Googling and working so hard to increase their knowledge in that head brain. But if they would just feel into what that heart brain has going on, it can change your world in no time at all. And this is what I help moms do when we start operating from that heart brain. They're like, this was a great week. I don't know what happened. Everything just was smoother. So this is how God created us to be, right? And he put us with a spouse, with a male who has that head brain. We're complementary. So we don't have to do the head brain stuff. We're supposed to do the heart brain because that's the job that God gave women. And so we want to be in flow with God because it will go easier for us. And I want to help you parents understand what being in flow with your kids based on how God created them to grow and develop, because that makes it easier for us also to parent them easier, less pain, less struggle, less confusion. All of that matters. Every minute of it matters because the job of parenting is challenging. It is hard. It is tiring. And I had a mom say to me the other day, she was like, oh my goodness, I did not know this was going to be such a long thing. She has a 27-year-old, she has a 25-year-old, she has a 13-year-old, and I don't know. It's a lifelong journey. Once you have kids, and even if you are just a stepmother, even if you haven't birthed these kids yourself, when you have kids, you know it's a lifelong journey. And so I want to help you know what to do to make it easier for you. And so I want you to know, moms, that this heart brain is the thing for us. So, okay, the heart brain, again, communicates with the brain, the head brain, and body in lots of different ways. And so this isn't anything I'm making up. This is all science. This is all, I can send you the information and the books and the doctors and the neuro whoever's that have studied all this. So this is truth that I'm telling you. Um, and there's a book written in the 90s called Neurocardiology, and a Dr. Armour. And he states that the nervous system within the heart is sophisticated enough to qualify it as a little brain in its very own right. So that's why I use that term heart brain, because it does have all the sophistication of a brain. So that's what we're going to call it. Um, Here's my favorite point. There are more neural pathways going from the heart up to the brain than the brain to the heart. I'm going to say this again because this is so huge, that there are more neural pathways going from our heart up to our brain than the other way around. I think if I asked anybody, they would say, "Oh no, it is your that brain in your head that is the one that would sends all the messages down into your heart." No, that's not accurate. Actually, there are more neural pathways going up from our heart up to our brain. So what this tells us is that the heart regulates our brain function, not the other way around. Again, this is how God created us to be. It doesn't seem logical. It would think that, okay, this brain, which the world tells us and most of science tells us, like, this is the computer, it's located in our head. But actually, there are more pathways going from our heart brain up to our head brain and then out to the rest of our body, to the world, how we think, act, do. But it starts with our heart. And so, again, moms, it is so incredibly vital that we tap into our hearts because our hearts lead us and they're going to help us parent in the best way that we can. Now, the other thing that I didn't mention, but is always number one, like ground zero, is the grace and the presence of God with us every minute of every day to help us. Um, so, God's presence, His grace in our heart. Okay, we are going to talk about heart coherence and heart connection. So, coherence is that harmonious connection, and it is orderly quality and kind of a logical relationship of parts, consistency, and congruity. So, coherence is a harmonious state. I'm always helping families with the goal of having harmony in their family. So that means orderly, logical, consistent, congruent way of functioning and flowing and all the humans that are operating in that family. It's having a rightly ordered, kind of organized way of being. That's what coherence is. Okay. Coherence also has to do with a conscious pleasure state of being in alignment with our purpose, joy, happiness, and connection to others. So, coherence is also about that pleasure and joy. We know also that this is important for God. We are designed as humans to have joy and happiness and connection to others. The electromagnetic field, the electromagnetic signal from the heart permeates every cell in our body. And a coherent heart leads to a coherent brain in our head and also um, a coherent body, a body that is in an okay, calm, everything's good state. So, from hearing me and that I'm all about that A-OK place for kids in their body, that their nervous system is feeling A-OK, like it's all fine. But this coherence also plays in, and the electromagnetic signals from our heart have a, a place in this also. So it's important to know that. So, as an individual's emotions change, we know that our physiological things change. So, if I start to get angry, my heart rate is going to increase. If um, if I'm agitated, again, our heart will change. If there's sadness, that also affects our heart and then that filters out to the rest of our body and also our brain. So, yes, excuse me. Okay. So, we know that with anger and frustration, our heart rate increases, our muscles can get tense and constricted. But also, when we experience the emotions of love and gratitude and joy, these also affect our heart rhythms. So, just as some of the negative emotions affect our heart and our heart brain, the positive ones do also. And so they have a positive effect in the rhythm of our heart. And this is huge because when moms, you operate from your heart brain and you are intentional about the connections that you have with your kids and joy and gratitude and love. And yes, there's frustrations and all of the other things that go with parenting. But when I encourage moms to start here with that heart brain, and to start first with gratitude or having the goal of interaction with their kids to be a connected way instead of a controlling or a punitive, like I need to get my kid under control and I'm going to punish them for doing this. If I can have moms just start from a place of, okay, my goal is not control, my goal is connectedness. And this is my whole practice, the way I parent my kids, the way I think of everything is always from this connected, calm way. Because when you are connected to your kids, and God made us to be connected to them, the way they react to us is so much better. And so, oftentimes, the majority of the time, the moms that I help are coming at it from a very controlling approach with their kids, but I help them shift it to a connected approach. And this ties in directly to that heart, into that heart brain, how moms are designed by God to function from our heart brain. And that is the best way that we can connect best with our kids for the best way to parent them. Okay, let me know if this is challenging for you. And I also want to tell you that the world, the way that it is today, and the amount of information that we have access to, right? With our phone, with our computer, like the world works against us because we know we can be ingesting tons of information in our head brain about how to parent our kids. But really, we need to operate more from our heart brain because we will be much more successful. And so, when I was a child growing up, and I'm 51, um, my mom didn't have access to all the informations and all the things that she could Google. So when she had me and my brother and sister at the park, she was just enjoying watching us. Just her body was taking in the signals that we were giving her, and she was operating more from her heart, from kind of her natural, intuitive feeling what to do and what to think about us and how to go about her day. And in my 20 years of doing this, that often is the best way to operate from. And it's the best way because it stays true to who you are as the mother. So I have parents who find me and they're constantly saying, "Well, I read this and I saw that and this mom is doing this and that mom's doing that." And that's great to give you an idea, but I want you to parent from you, your temperament, your natural tendencies, your the uniqueness of who God designed you to be. And so that's going to be different than the other 4,000 moms that we could read about, or 4 million, or 4 bajillion. But when we, again, get into our heart, our uniqueness, and take that forward in how we parent our own child's uniqueness, there can be so much smoother parenting. So, that heart connection, how do we practice that? What does that look like on a daily basis to get connected with our heart so that this is how we start our day? This is that lead way of how we are going to look at our kids. And so it is simple things. It could be um, a gratitude journal because that instantly gives us a better heart rhythm. And that's going to translate out in that electromagnetic field that comes out from our heart. It's going to come out in our voice, a softness maybe, instead of a harsh tone and a yelling and a kind of a rushed way. Um, it can also be simple breathing exercises, a meditation of sorts. For me, it starts early in the morning. It starts with my prayer. It's how I want to center myself for the day. And then from that, out of my heart, comes how I'm going to operate, how I'm going to think about things, how I'm going to, again, I'm going to lead with my heart because I know that is the easiest flow with God. And it also brings me the easiest way to help parents and families and kids with understanding. So I just want to encourage you to think about this. Think about your brain. You have a little brain inside your heart. And I want you to operate from your heart brain. And then find me on Instagram at Kelly K. Shoup or send me a message. You can find me on my website, www.kellykshoop.com. But I would love to know if you are intentional about operating from your heart brain instead of your head brain, what you become aware of. Is it easier for you? Are you finding that you have better connections with your kids and that you're not as drained and exhausted at the end of the day? Parents, this is always my goal. Moms, always my goal to make your job easier, to make it less painful, less stressed. And that is going to be going in that flow that God designed humans, designed females as mothers to operate from. And that is our heart brain instead of our head brain. Because that head brain, we know from Ephesians is 5:23, that verse in the Bible, that the husband is the head of the family. So that head brain, that male, your husband's got that. But we are to be the heart. So we're going to be the heart brain. And the husband's job is to love us. And that's our heart. And so I want to encourage you that when you are praying for your kids and parents, we have so much ability to protect our kids and pray over them. And we are given the authority by God. So we can put on the mind of Christ. We are told to put on the mind of Christ. And I like to think of it also as the brain. And so I want to put on the brain of Christ in my heart. I want to operate from my heart, the brain that's in my heart, like Christ. And also my head brain, but my heart brain is the mind of Christ and the brain of Christ. So I'd like to encourage you that with that today, and know that you can find me. I have a monthly membership that moms join. We have a weekly call. We have lots of resources from my occupational therapy brain, that thinking brain. Um, that helps parents with so many different things, power struggles and skills and balance and physical things and sensory things. So you can find lots of support there. You can also, I have there's prayers, there's a protective prayer bundle that is in my monthly membership. You can also find me on my website and book a consult call. Like, I am having an emergency in this one behavior that keeps coming up. A lot of times I help parents just like a one and done. Let's talk, let's figure out what's going on, and then you're on down the way. And then I also have opportunities for families to journey with me for 3 months. And that looks like every week we are going to get you on a path to deal with some of the struggles and frustrations that are really causing disharmony in your family. And so that's another way that I help families all the time too. So good luck in your day to day, and mamas, operate from that brain that is in your heart.